Well, hello and welcome to the broadcast. I am a qualified teacher. I've done my job where possible. Left Kingsley High School with 3 hires. Did a teacher training course which I passed the course. And done the job where possible. Basically, this is approximately 2026. A lot of people didn't pass the course when they went to college. I passed my course first time. And continued to teach and learn and do continued professional development in the capacity I was in. I suffered from possibly lacing of the drink, spiking up a drink, which caused my opinion, possibly from my colleagues, as a non-alcohol imbiber myself. From parents who stayed together. I know who my father was, as my father said. At least I knew who my father was, and yes, that's true, he was not an alcoholic. I stayed with his wife is now, my mother is now approximately getting on for 96. And People's Academy, and able to change the name from the People's Academy to Lessons from Life, School of what I've learned, having qualified as a teacher in approximately 1986. Basically, Hugh Everett. Many worlds postulate mathematically deterministic Hugh Everett, many worlds, theoretical physics, America, published a paper in 1957, 6 years before I was born in 1963, and I've read in the era of the internet, which I only received when I was approximately at a guess about 40 years of age, to get some education on the internet that I previously couldn't get, due to the internet not being available when I was a younger person. Computers not available when I was a younger person are now available. Hugh Everett, that I've recently read that Hugh Everett, the social work department, in my opinion, wrongly said things about Hugh Everett and his personal life, what he was like as a human being. I've read that the guy was not an emotional, communicative person with his members of his family. Never spoke to them. So Ed Sens said that the guy never spoke to them, was not emotional. However, if they want to have a gripe with him, I personally don't think, as a person who didn't speak much, I don't think there's a great deal wrong with Hugh Everett not being communicative and not being emotional. I personally don't adhere to the communicative, emotional, social work department myself, but I know a lot of the majority of people do in today's world. I think Hugh Everett was wrongly criticised for being a person who never spoke to his family, or let me think of some of the positive traits of Hugh Everett. Although he's supposed to be obese in his later life and drank a lot, due to being mocked and ridiculed by his colleagues when he wrote a scientific paper in 1957. Who else could write a paper like Hugh Everett did? He was supposed to be a philanderer. That's perhaps a knock-on effect of how the establishments responded to his scientific paper, mathematically backed. Continued in later years by Max Tegmark and David Deutsch and others scientifically. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with being non-communicative, which is what they said was a fault with Hugh Everett. The guy was not emotional and not communicative. I personally think that's the personal strength of the man, and myself included, and my parents to some extent. They stayed together, weren't alcoholics, weren't on drugs, weren't philanderers. I knew who my father was. I knew who my mother was. They were always in the house looking after the family. They lived within their means, one person working in the family. And due to the changes in the early 1970s in the UK government to the social work department takeover bid from the factory floor and shop workers, to change what the council system previously had been in the early 1970s, and there was a carefully crafted plot over generations to introduce social work to the curriculum in schools. Not a thing I would recommend, and I think you're better doing what I did, better doing what my parents did, and Margaret Stanners, and whoever what he did, and they might not have turned to the drink, and might not have become obese in size, and he might have been treated with a bit more respect by his colleagues when he wrote a scientific paper, mathematically confirmed in 1957, 6 years before my birth in 1963, and approximately 18 years ago, when I was doing voluntary work in the south of Scotland, I complained to the Scottish Government about their social work department